Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Adele Anderson from fulfillyourdestiny.ca. I'm showing you my view. And this morning I'm actually going to share a little story with you about myself. So thank you for listening. By the way, we're on the Sunshine Coast in beautiful British Columbia. It's a special part of the world, and I'm very grateful to be able to live here on our waterfront property. But anyway, I'm going to go back about 25 years. When I was about 27, I had a near-death experience. And that near-death experience happened one beautiful day, just like today, where the fellow that I was dating at the time had an ultralight plane. And we had spent the day sort of flip-flopping around the country and, going for lunch. And as we headed into the evening, the sun was just going into setting. And the other plane that we were with went into silhouette, and it was absolutely beautiful. And then the pilot in the plane decided that he would do a touch and go on the river below us. And so he swooped down to the river. And that was a life-changing experience. I didn't realize, and obviously neither did he, that he had left the wheels down on the pontoons. And when that plane hit the surface of the water, it flipped. It was so fast that I saw him go under first. It was flipping from head to tail. And I went to take a breath in, and my mouth filled with water. And being a lifeguard from high school, I decided very, very quickly in my mind that it was better for me to swallow the water rather than to exhale, so that I would keep all my oxygen inside my body. But within a split second, 100th of a second, we were upside down. It was completely black, pitch black. All of the fuel from the engine that was behind me had flown over my head, so I was covered in gas, and even though I was underwater, I could still feel the permeation of that odor, that gasoline on me. And then we were floating upside down. My hair was all over the place. I couldn't see. It was dragging through my eyes. We were moving quickly upside down in the river, obviously no oxygen. And my first instinct was to push very hard. But I was locked into a 3-point harness, and I couldn't escape. So what happened was, sorry, it's been 25 years, it still gets me. So I didn't quite know what to do. I was locked into the harness. My life jacket was wrapped around me. There was a lot of debris in the cabin that was floating and bumping me in the head, and it just seemed very confusing. So as I was going through some unsuccessful bids to get out of the plane, I realized that time had stopped. I had no recognition of how much time had passed. I could feel that the energy was leaving my limbs, but I still was able to function. And then something amazing started to happen. My life began to flash in front of my eyes. So it's pretty incredible. Funny, I heard years later that that's a fallacy. It doesn't happen. But it happened to me, and it happened to me in such detail that every split second of my life was like an old-time movie, the black and white movies where the individual little screens, flapped, and they would be going slow enough that you'd be able to see each individual shot that they were taking. Well, that was happening in my mind about my entire life. I could see every aspect of what I had done, how I'd grown up, different activities in such detail that it was absolutely phenomenal. And it went all the way through my death to where my parents, I saw the RCMP going up to their door and informing them that I was dead. And then my brain said, that's not going to happen. And it kind of did a rewind on all of these details that I'd been seeing, this flashing of my life in front of my eyes. And it went back to a movie that I'd watched at some point in my life, kind of like Top Gun. And I think it maybe was Top Gun with Tom Cruise. And there was this Army sergeant, and he was teaching young pilots how to get out of a plane that had overturned in water. And he put this young man in this cockpit that was going to then be drawn up like a big slide. And he was locked in, and he had his 3-point harness on and a helmet on. And then he let the lever go, and the actor, the young pilot in training, flew down this slide. And as his cage hit the water, the pool, it flipped. And so he was upside down in water, and he was flailing, kind of like I had been doing. He was panicking, and he was, obviously afraid he was going to die. And so I listened to the detail, the actor, who was the sergeant, saying, this young man is going to die. He's going to die if he doesn't take his left hand over his right hip and unleash his 3-point harness. And so, as easily as that, I took my left hand, I put it over my right hip, and I released my 3-point harness. And the actor was continuing to yell at the rest of the people who were they were taking off their shoes, and they were ready to jump in the water. And he was saying, don't interfere with me. He's saying, this young man is going to die if he doesn't push himself down through the roof of his plane in order to get out of the cage. And so I took the harness off, which was wrapped around my life vest, and I pushed deeper into the water, which I was able then to escape the cavity of the plane. And then naturally, my body was floating up to the surface of the water. And I was very, very fortunate that I had been a lifeguard and had taught swimming for years and years. So I was really, really comfortable in the water. But when I broke the surface of the water, I was pretty out of breath. I remember just gasping in breath. And I swam quickly over, and I grabbed onto one of the overturned pontoons and pulled myself up onto the overturned pontoon. And the friend that I was with, the pilot, hadn't come up yet, and he was not a fit guy. He was overweight, out of shape, and he hadn't surfaced yet. So I took a couple of deep breaths, and then I dove back in the water to try to get him. And it took me a couple of dives to go down and try to get him, and he didn't come up. And then the second time, actually, we came up together, and we both survived this amazing life experience. And a lot of things happened to me after that. Like after you think you're going to die, or you almost die, you look at life a bit differently. And it's one of the turning points in my life. I wanted to learn how my brain became so expansive. I wanted to learn how my brain had captured every moment of my life in such detail, and that I had access to it, because I'd never had access to it before. And I certainly wanted to have access to it now. I wanted to have access to it every single moment of my life, because it was an unlimited amount of power. And it was all in here. And so from that moment on, I really changed my goal in life and obviously my outlook on life. And that's a little bit about me. There's a lot more about that I can share, but the file would be too long and I wouldn't be able to upload it. But anyway, thanks for listening. It's a little bit of a powerful story for me. I have a hard time keeping my composure, even after 25 years. So thanks for listening. I hope you found some interest in that, and I'd love to share more about what I've learned over the years of trying to capture the power of my mind, and it's what I share with others as well. So I'm Adele Anderson from fulfillyourdestiny.ca, and we run retreats on the Sunshine Coast. And you can reach me on my website anytime. I actually offer a free 30-minute consult with anybody who wants to chat. And it's a beautiful day out there. I hope you enjoy it. I bless you all, and thanks so much for being here today. Take care. Stay well. Bye now.